The events unfolding in America's heartland have raised profound questions about the limits of federal power, the cost of enforcement, and the human toll of aggressive immigration policy. In Minneapolis, a major operation by federal agents has concluded amid widespread protests, fatal shootings of U.S. citizens, and a sharp decline in public support for the administration's approach. What began as a bold assertion of immigration law has ended in retreat, leaving behind shattered families, eroded trust, and a national debate over accountability. This is Worldview. I'm bringing you a measured examination of these developments, drawing on verified facts, official statements, court records, and the broader implications for civil liberties and governance in the United States. Before we start, wherever you're watching or listening from, the Trump administration's immigration enforcement surge in Minnesota, known as Operation Metro Surge, has now drawn to a close. Announced by Border Czar Tom Homan in mid-February 2026, the decision followed more than 2 months of intense activity that began in late 2025. Federal immigration officers, including personnel from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Customs and Border Protection, CBP, descended on the Minneapolis-Saint Paul metropolitan area and expanded across the state. The stated objective was to target individuals in the country without legal status, particularly those with criminal records or prior deportation orders, while overcoming resistance from so-called sanctuary jurisdictions that limit cooperation with federal detainers. Officials reported over 4,000 arrests during the operation. Many of those detained had outstanding ICE detainers, requests for local authorities to hold individuals for federal pickup after arrests on state or local charges. Proponents of the effort, including Homan, described it as a reassertion of federal authority in areas where local policies had created barriers to enforcement. They argued that sanctuary practices allowed potentially dangerous individuals to be released back into communities, undermining national security and public safety. Yet the operation's conclusion came not as a triumphant victory, but amid significant backlash. Protests erupted almost immediately, with residents, community leaders, and civil rights advocates decrying what they viewed as overreach, racial profiling, and intimidation tactics. Demonstrators gathered outside targeted neighborhoods, recording interactions and providing mutual aid to those affected. School attendance in some areas reportedly dropped by 20 to 40%, as families feared encounters with masked federal agents. Local governments incurred substantial costs responding to the unrest, including overtime for police and resources for community support. The turning point, and what ultimately eroded public confidence, centered on a series of high-profile incidents involving the use of lethal force by federal officers. These cases exposed discrepancies between initial official accounts and emerging evidence, fueling accusations of misrepresentation and lack of transparency. Consider first the shooting in Chicago involving Marimar Martinez, a U.S. citizen and teaching assistant. In October 2025, Border Patrol agents claimed she had attempted to ram their vehicle, justifying the use of force. She was shot multiple times at close range. Charges were filed against her based on that narrative. However, body camera footage released after legal battles showed a different sequence. An agent steering into her path, followed by the shooting. One agent was heard using derogatory language toward her. The Department of Justice ultimately dropped the charges against Martinez, acknowledging the evidence did not support the initial claims. Her attorney emphasized a chilling reality. Without video documentation, the truth might never have surfaced, especially if the outcome had been fatal. This episode highlights deeper tensions in American immigration policy. Federal law grants ICE authority to enforce deportations, and detainers serve as a tool to ensure handovers. Sanctuary policies, adopted by many jurisdictions, prioritize local policing over federal immigration enforcement, arguing that trust in communities suffers when immigrants fear reporting crimes. The clash between these approaches is not new, but the scale and visibility in Minnesota amplified it. The human element cannot be overlooked. Families separated, children kept home from school, neighborhoods under siege. These are not abstract policy outcomes but lived experiences. When U.S. citizens like Good and Pretty lose their lives, and initial accounts prove unreliable, it erodes faith in institutions. Body cameras, bystander videos, and independent reviews become essential checks against unchecked power. Accountability mechanisms exist: DOJ investigations, congressional oversight, civil lawsuits. Yet critics call for structural reform, stronger third-party verification of incidents, limits on masked operations, better training, and perhaps reevaluation of ICE's role in domestic enforcement. The agency was created post-9/11 to focus on border security and interior removals, but its expansion into communities has sparked debate over mission creep. Supporters maintain that enforcement deters illegal immigration and protects citizens. They cite cases where non-cooperation led to releases of individuals later involved in crimes. The lost children narrative, often referenced in relation to prior administrations, resurfaces in defenses, though fact checks clarify many were released to relatives or sponsors, not truly missing. The Minneapolis operation's end does not resolve these divides. It marks a tactical retreat, but the underlying issues persist. Balancing enforcement with humanity, federal versus local authority, truth in official reporting. As polling indicates, a majority now questions whether current approaches serve justice or sow division. This moment demands reflection. Immigration policy affects millions: families seeking safety, workers contributing economically, communities shaped by diversity. When enforcement crosses into perceived injustice, it risks alienating the very public it claims to protect. We will continue monitoring developments, including ongoing investigations into the shootings and any policy adjustments. Your perspectives in the comments help shape this dialogue. Share your thoughts thoughtfully. For Worldview, this has been an in-depth look at a pivotal chapter in America's immigration story. Stay informed, stay engaged. Good night.